And I'm back. So, today we have the 2022 Academy Awards. They're going to be presented today, and honestly, nobody really cares. Nobody really gives a fuck. I'm actually not going to watch them, but I did promise that I was going to watch every single movie that was nominated for Best Picture, and I was going to give you my thoughts on which ones I thought should be there, which one shouldn't, which one's going to be the winner, all that stuff. So let's get into it. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
So, like I said, don't really care that much about the Oscars anymore. I feel like they're mostly out of touch. They don't really understand what people want, which is good movies. And so I wasn't overly excited about this, but I did it last year, and I thought it was fun to just watch every single movie and then give my thoughts on to see like how out of touch the Academy really is. And so let's get into it. This year we had 10 movies that were nominated for Best Picture, and I'm basically only going to focus on those 10 because 10 is already a lot. And the movies that were nominated, I felt that most of them did not deserve to be there, to be honest, after watching every single one of them. And so the movie that I thought was the biggest snub this year, and I mentioned this maybe a few months back when the nominee list came out, the biggest snub this year was Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. The Last Duel is a fantastic film. I highly recommend it. It did not get nominated for anything. Not for costumes, not for performance, not for cinematography, not for soundtrack, nothing. And I thought it was a fantastic film. Personally, I would have made it a little bit different because this one is kind of like a Ridley Scott's Rashomon, where it tells the same story from 3 different versions and you kind of have to pick which one is the truth. I would have said it, I would have done it in a more linear fashion, but whatever. It's his movie, he did it this way, and still was a fantastic film, and the actual duel at the end is phenomenal. So the build up to it is also phenomenal. So to me, this is the standard. If this is the movie that did not get nominated, every single other movie in this list should have been better. Now, I hadn't seen every single movie when the list came out, and so I was like, okay, maybe I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. It's possible that all the other movies are just so much better than this one, and that's why this one didn't even, not a single nomination, not a single one. And so I decided, I'm going to watch them, every single one, and then I'll be able to give an educated opinion after watching every single one. So this episode may have a few spoilers, may not. I was considering doing it tomorrow, but I really wanted to get it out before the awards came out because, that could influence stuff. Also, just a quick note here. The Razzies came out yesterday, and just as I predicted, Space Jam 2 sucked. I haven't seen it because I didn't want to, because I saw the first trailer and I thought it was going to suck, and turns out it did. It was I think got the second most awards, so there you go. Just, wanted to point out I know my movies. But anyway, let's get into this. So there's 10 movies. Like I said, you got Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. That list is in alphabetical order, so that's the order that I'm going to go through. So let's begin with Belfast. So Belfast, basically, and I have the IMDb here, so I'll give you the summary according to IMDb, and then I'll give you my own summary. So, a young boy and his working-class Belfast family experienced the tumultuous late 1960s. Now, that really doesn't tell you much. It doesn't really give the movie justice. So basically, for those of you who don't know, there was a civil war going on in the 1960s in Ireland, and the setting is phenomenal. It's a very interesting setting. I really wanted to know more of what the hell was happening in this part of the world at that time, because I don't really know much about Irish history, and I don't know much about that civil war. I know that it's going on. I know they hate each other, and I know that separated the country in two, basically, but I didn't really know much. And this puts you right smack dab in the middle of it, and it's interesting. It's a very interesting setting. It's one of the most interesting settings, probably, out of all the movies that are nominated. It has 2 big issues, though. One, the movie's in black and white. Why? I have no fucking idea. It's 2022. This movie came out in 2021. Why are we making movies in black and white? I don't get it. I guess it's directors want to look artsy or whatever. I personally don't like it. It's boring for the eyes. I don't get it. We have the technology. Just maybe make 1 or 2 scenes in black and white. I don't care. It's just boring. But that's personal. I'm not gonna knock any points from the movie for it. I just personally do not like it. There's some movies in black and white that I love. There's some that I just don't see the point. This is one of those where I really don't see the point. In fact, the color would have been very helpful here. But whatever. That's the big issue. That's one of the big issues. The second really big issue is that we are following probably the least interesting character here. I'm not saying that he's completely disinteresting, or uninteresting, but we're following the little kid. Now, if you've ever listened to one of my podcasts where I have to criticize a kid actor, I'm generally not a fan of kid actors. I think they're really terrible. This kid wasn't bad. He did an okay job. He was likable. The problem is, again, you have such an interesting setting. Civil War. The dad is he has to leave for work for 2 weeks. He's always traveling back and forth from England for work. He's a construction worker, and so he has all the tension of there's a civil war going on, and I'm not home to protect my kids, and I want to get my family out of there. So that's a very interesting perspective. Also, some of the leaders of the gangs, or let's say it's not a gang, but of the movement, they want him to be a part of it, and so he's feeling that pressure. Also, a bunch of debt issues. The mom, she's there by herself, raising 2 boys. The oldest is trying to be recruited by one of these groups. They're trying to make him do stuff. The other one is a little kid, and he gets into little kid trouble. And so she's dealing with debt. She's dealing with raising. She's dealing with survival. Very interesting situation. We're not following her all the time. Why not? I don't get it. I don't understand. But whatever. The oldest son, I've already mentioned, they're trying to recruit him to be part of this movement. So any of those 3 characters, if we would have followed them most of the movie, it would have been way more interesting. But unfortunately, we're following the little kid, which I guess gives the movie certain, childish charm. But you're showing us a movie about a civil war, or the beginning of a civil war. Kind of explain what's going on. I was very confused. They give you enough information to kind of get it, but not enough for you to understand it, if that makes any sense. And again, you're following a little kid. It makes sense that a kid would get it but not understand it, and that's where the audience is. So I thought it was a wasted opportunity. Personally, from this movie, the mom should have been nominated. Like I already mentioned this before. Out of all the Best Actress nominees, none of them are none of the actresses nominated for Best Actress are the main characters in any of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture. None of them. Here, if you're going to nominate somebody, it should have been the mom. The mom did a really good job. You kind of hate her at times because it's like, I said I was going to do a few spoilers, but the mom just doesn't want to leave. And you're like, you stupid bitch, leave. There's a civil war going on. Just leave, just move. But she doesn't want to. So you kind of hate her at times. You just want to smack her over the head. But whatever, the rest of the time, she's in a really difficult situation, so you feel for her a lot. And so I thought maybe she should have been nominated. She did a really good job. She's the girl from Outlander. I've seen her do a British accent. I've never seen her do an Irish accent, and I actually would have, if I've never seen Outlander, I would have believed that she's actually Irish. So she did a really good job. However, the 2 characters that are nominated are the grandparents. So you got for Best Supporting Actress, you got Judi Dench. And for Best Supporting Actor, you got Ciarán Hinds. So, Judi Dench, you already know her. She won the Academy Award for, I believe it was Shakespeare in Love. She played the Queen. She also, most of you will probably know her from the Daniel Craig movies. She plays Q. Is it Q? M? It might be M. I don't know, whatever. The point is, you might know her from there. Judi Dench, if you see her, you know who she is. I didn't feel like she did. What she did was really good, but I didn't feel like she did enough to be, given the nod of the nominee over the mom. Like, even if the mom as a supporting character as getting the nominee would have been better, whatever. But the one actor that really does stand out a lot is Ciarán Hinds. Now, for those of you who don't know who Ciarán Hinds is, he's right here. He's the grandpa. He plays the grandpa. If you ever watched HBO's Rome, he played Julius Caesar. He's a fantastic actor. If you saw Game of Thrones, he played Mance Rayder, who is the king of the wildlings, basically. And so he's a fantastic actor. I love his work. Here, I was shocked at how he played an old man, because Ciarán Hinds is 69. Judi Dench is almost 90. And Ciarán Hinds looked like he was older than she was. He acted like a way, way, way older man. They look like a couple that are actually, like the same age, or him even being a little bit older. So I thought that his performance out of all of them was the best. In fact, out of all the supporting actors here that were nominated, I'll read you here the ones that are nominated. I thought that Ciarán Hinds should take it in the movies that I saw. So so here you go. You got Ciarán Hinds for Belfast, Troy Kotsur from Coda, I'll let you know who that is, Jesse Plemons from Power of the Dogs, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith McPhee, The Power of the Dog. I will break down Power of the Dog and Coda in a little bit. Actually, I think Coda is the next one. But none of them compared to the performance Ciarán Hinds did. For me, personally, the best one out of supporting characters. So, Belfast at least should walk away with that one. At least. For the rest of the stuff, not a big fan. And again, the mom should have been nominated for something. Either supporting actress or or best actress. Because she's in the film more than probably than the grandparents and the dad. So, there you go. That's my thoughts on Belfast. Next, we are moving on to Coda. So Coda, like I said, you got a best supporting actor. Again, this movie follows a girl. And I'll tell you IMDb. As Coda, a child of deaf adults, Ruby is the only hearing person in her deaf family. When a family's fishing business is threatened, Ruby finds herself torn between pursuing her love of music by wanting to go to Berklee College of Music and her fear of abandoning her parents. Now, this is not Berklee, the school in California. It's Berklee College of Music, which is in Boston. I know, I was confused too, but whatever. Apparently, there's a Berklee, K-L-E-Y, and a K-L-E-E, Berklee. Anyway, there you go. I like I said, I was confused. This is actually the movie with what's his name? It's the Mexican actor. It's not Al Ramones. What the hell? It's Eugenio Derbez. The movie is fun at times. It has its moments. It's clever. Troy Kotsur, the guy who got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, is the dad, and I think he's the only person that got nominated for this film. Let me see, Best Supporting Actors. Yeah, the only guy who got nominated here is the dad. Only one. And again, this movie is about the girl. The main character is the girl, and the girl did not get nominated for Best Actress, which tells you a lot about the movie already. Personally, the movie's too long. Actually, that's my thoughts on most of these movies. They're too long. Belfast is an hour 40 minutes. It's not terrible. That's fine. Coda is an hour 51 minutes. It should not have been that long. This movie is a solid Sunday movie. It's a solid B movie. It's not special in any particular way, shape, or form, and that's the big issue. This movie had no business being nominated whatsoever, personally. The actors are not the best actors. The girl is supposed to be a singer. She's not the best singer out of all the movies that were nominated. She's not the best singer. The girl from West Side Story is way better. Out of the deaf characters, the most interesting deaf character is not in this movie. It's in another one, and I'll break her down when we get there. This is a movie about a prodigy. The best prodigies is not in this movie. It's actually the two girls from King Richard. The Williams sisters. Their story's more interesting. So. It's at least the main character here, unlike in Belfast, the main character is an active protagonist. And by that, what I mean is there's a difference between a passive protagonist and an active protagonist. Now, the words active and passive should be enough to tell you what the difference is. But basically, it's a character a passive protagonist is a character that things happen to him or her, and they just react. And so an active protagonist is a character that goes out and does things. And so one is more interesting to watch than the other, always. Because one's kind of always a victim. The other one's actually out there trying to do stuff. There's motivating. In Belfast, it's a little kid, so it's mostly a passive protagonist. He's just going around doing little kid things. And so in the grand scheme of things, he's passive, but he's doing his own little adventures. There's really no coherence in his story whatsoever. The situation is just happening to him. Coda, the main character, is at least an active protagonist, which again makes it interesting. Like I said, it's a solid B movie. It's a solid Sunday movie. I laughed at a lot of times. There's a lot of heart in this movie, and if you've heard me do reviews, I care a lot about heart. It's a very important part about movies. You know, you want to care about the characters. Unfortunately, this movie was really not made for me because throughout my life, I've had issues with deaf people. 90% of my experience with deaf people have not been positive. Now, I'm not saying they're completely negative. They've just been not positive, most of them. The vast majority. I'd say 50% of them were bad, 40% were not positive, and 10% were good. So I wasn't overly excited to watch this one. I have issues with deaf characters because, again, personal bias, whatever. And this movie shows deaf people in a really bad light. And I mean really bad light. The parents suck. They are... They try to do this thing where it's the girl, the character is the typical girl who's kind of an outsider and people don't understand her, but she's actually like super funny and sarcastic and cool and you should love her, and we've seen that character a million times. She's basically Emma Stone in Easy A, or Emma Stone in most of her films, and so that's who she is, except she can sing, and she's a good singer. The girl can sing, but she's not even the best singer in this film. The parents are actually exactly the parents from Easy A, except that they're deaf. You know how the parents from Easy A, they're overly open about their sexual relationship with the son and the daughter. They're really open about all that stuff. It's the exact same parents. It's Emma Stone, Stanley Tucci, and I believe it's Maya Rudolph, except, you know, it's these three and they're deaf. That's the difference. And the parents are actually pretty terrible parents because because of them, they are forcing, because of their reluctance to be a part of a community, to actually integrate this into community, to learn to interact with hearing people, they are forcing their daughter to become an adult. They're forcing their daughter to not follow her dreams. They're forcing her daughter to be a free employee. They're a free interpreter for them. And it's all because they don't want to walk around with a piece of fucking pen and paper or even a phone and use that to interact with people. It's honestly, it's one of those things like, fuck, I fucking hate this. And so, terrible parents paints deaf people in a terrible light. But the movie's got a lot of heart. The characters clearly love each other. It's one of those things that, like, I love you, but you kind of drive me crazy a little bit. So, solid B movie, solid Sunday movie. You can watch it with the family. You'll enjoy it, but unfortunately, there's nothing particularly special about this. So, I don't think this is anywhere near the level of The Last Duel, so don't see what it's doing here. Also, kind of hard to watch. I mean, by that I mean it's kind of hard to find. Other movies you can find on Amazon Prime and just rent it. You can find them on HBO Max. You can find them on, I don't know, Netflix. This one, I had to get a subscription for Apple TV, you know, the free week the free week thing, just to watch the movie, and then I canceled it. So yeah, it's not the easiest movie to find. Whatever. So there you go. This one, not better than The Last Duel. Belfast, not better than The Last Duel. For this one, honestly, nothing particularly special. I wouldn't nominate this movie for anything. Not for the script, not for the acting, not for... They did an okay job. Again, solid B. But not nominee worthy in any way, shape, or form, personally. So, let's move on. Next, we have Don't Look Up. So, this movie is actually pretty controversial. Either you love it or you hate it. That's it. There's no middle ground. You love it or you hate it. So this one was, again, it's too long. 2 hours and 18 minutes. Directed by, I believe it's Adam McKay, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Adam McKay, written by Adam McKay. This one has DiCaprio in it, the Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, and here's the story according to IMDb. 2 low-level astronomers must go on a giant meteor to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. So, again, either you love it or you hate it. Personally, after an hour and a half, we had to stop the movie. Because it's supposed to be a comedy, and I hadn't laughed once. A few weeks later, actually this week, I decided, all right, fine, I'll finish it just because I have to, just to do this review, and then I finished it. This movie is supposed to be a critique about global warming. It's a metaphor for global warming and all that stuff. Unfortunately, it's not ridiculous enough to be a comedy, and it's not serious enough to be a dramedy. It's stuck in a really odd in-between situation where, dude, if you're gonna do it, go all the way. they missed a lot of great opportunities. But however, I'll give this to the movie. It did try to do something unique, and I think that's why it kind of failed, and or for the majority of people. And from what I've talked to people about, and it's a conversation starter in many ways, because a lot of people, it's funny because after talking to people with this movie, the ones who loved it, the ones who hated it, it's like I don't think you got. This movie's not making fun of what you think it's making fun of. It's actually making fun of something else, and it's probably making fun of you. You just didn't get it. And again, the issue is that comedy-wise, it didn't go all the way. And I'll give you a perfect example. So, Adam McKay, famous for hating George W. Bush. Like, if you saw the movie Vice, he hates Bush. That's what I knew about the guy. The Big Short's a great film. I highly recommend it. It's kind of hard to follow sometimes, but it's actually very informative, and he takes a very difficult subject and explains it very clearly. And so for what I knew about him is he hates Bush. That's one of the things that I know about Adam McKay. Watching this movie, I was like, wow, he hates Democrats a lot. He really hates Democrats. And the reason why I say that is because the president here, Meryl Streep, is a Democrat. However, from talking to people, she's like, no, she's not a Democrat, she's Trump. And it's like, no, this is the beauty of the film, or this is the thing that's really clever that I think it's why it didn't land. She's taken the tropes of one side and giving them to the other side. And giving them to the arguments of the other side. And so that's why it didn't really land. Because the people who thought it was really funny didn't get it, or that was movie didn't get they were making fun of them. And the other side who didn't like it, it's because they thought that was making fun of them, but didn't see that they were trying to balance it out. It's a really weird thing. But for comedy, comedy is always a risk. And in this situation, kudos for trying to do it, because he was, from what I could tell, they're actually trying to balance it out. It just did not go ridiculous enough. And again, I'll stick to the president, because with the president is the character that I have the best example for, and the biggest missed opportunity. So like I said, Meryl Streep is a Democrat. The reason why I say she's a Democrat is because in the Oval Office, there's a picture of her hugging Bill Clinton. Now, for those of you who don't know, Bill Clinton, Democratic president, beloved by a lot. He's kind of a scoundrel. And so you would not see a Republican president have a Democrat picture there. So it's okay. The lady might be Trumpian in personality, but she's clearly a Democrat, at least because of that. And to me, the missed comedy here is, if you're going to have a female character in a picture with Bill Clinton, have Bill Clinton grab her ass. Just, it's easy. That's a layup. That's easy comedy. Everybody from every side would be like, that's totally something Clinton would do. So it tells you a lot about the presidential character to actually be displaying that picture in the Oval Office. It's simple. It's easy. But again, this movie did not go ridiculous enough. It did not go ridiculous enough to be a comedy. It wasn't serious enough to be even a dramedy. And so it's in the odd in between where it's just whatever. The critiques for global warming and stuff are actually pretty interesting. And again, it's not in the way you think. Most of people that I've heard make like breaking down this movie, it's like you didn't get what the movie was about. Like this is, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Adam McKay is basically saying, hey, we need nuclear energy here. The solution here is nuclear energy. And the issue is that politicians and rich people are getting in the way with all their other dumb new ideas. Nuclear is the solution, and we could have done it very easily. But we got out of our own way to listen to a bunch of other people who have other interests, and that's going to fuck us over. That's in many ways the message of the movie. At least that's how I interpreted it. But a lot of people don't get it. So, whatever. And so, like I said, as a movie, not particularly great because it's not funny. Most of the characters are hateable. Most of the performances are over the top and not in a good way. Honestly, if you want to watch a good movie that's very similar to this one, it's not about global warming, watch Idiocracy. Idiocracy is a dude. It's kind of like Futurama. A dude gets frozen in our time. He wakes up in the future, and in the future, everybody's an idiot because dumb people are having a lot of babies and smart people aren't having kids. So basically, humans are de-evolving and becoming dumber and dumber. And so he wakes up and he's the smartest man in the world, and he's just like a normal guy. That movie is super ridiculous. That's how you, if they would have handled this movie with that level of ridiculousness, it could have been great. But they didn't. It's, again, stuck in the odd in between where it's just not fun. So, personally, not great. Again, conversation starter. Interesting conversation starter. Particularly for the people who thought they got it, but I don't think they did. But, bad film overall. If this is supposed to be a comedy, it wasn't a comedy. I laughed twice. Once, because the rich guy, who's I think supposed to be either Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, was a dick to a little girl. The little girl's like, hey, can we do this? Shut up! I thought that was funny. And the other time that I laughed was when, what the hell's this guy's name? He's an older, he's Hellboy. Oh, Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman is an astronaut, and they're sending him on the ship with a nuclear weapon that's going to save Earth. And he's on the way there. And so they're live streaming his takeoff or whatever. And so as he's on the air, he's giving a message to people, and his message is like, well, he's an older guy, and let's say they're not appropriate. I'm not sure if I can say it, but whatever. It's like a shout out to all the hardworking white people out there. Also a special shout out to the Indians, the ones with bows and arrows and the ones with elephants. I never understood why you two didn't get together, but seems like it will work out. that part is like, see, that's ridiculous. That's funny. So those were the two times that I laughed in the entire film. And again, the movie's 2 hours and 18 minutes long. So there you go. That tells you about that. So definitely not better than The Last Duel. So let's move on. Next, we have Drive My Car. This is the Japanese. This movie should win the best international film award. It should the best foreign film award. It should get it because, again, out of all the movies that are nominated for best foreign film, Drive My Car is the only one that got nominated for best picture. So this should be easy money, right? If Drive My Car does not win the best international picture, the best foreign film or whatever, it just shows you how bullshit the Oscars are. Because this is simple math. This is process of elimination. But whatever. Anyway, this movie's too long. It's the longest movie out of all of them. It's 2 hours and 59 minutes long. And it's actually two very good movies, two interesting movies that they forced to be one. And I think that was its mistake. And that's because, again, it makes it super long. Now, the movie's very slow in pacing. It's Japanese, and Japanese tend to make things slower in pacing. But it's that's not the issue. The pacing is not the issue. The issue is that it's too long because they're forcing two stories to come into one particular in one particular setting. And it sucks. And also, there's a lot of really weird wasted time here. So let me just read you the premise here. A renowned stage actor and director learns to cope with his wife's unexpected passing when he receives an offer to direct the production of Uncle Vanya in Hiroshima. By the way, Hiroshima is beautiful. The movie's beautifully shot. There's a lot of really interesting shots. It's great. The directing's phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal directing. It's among the better directing jobs out of all the movies that were nominated. So basically, what you know from the trailer here is the main character, this guy, he's a stage director, he's a theater director, and his wife died, and the theater company is forcing him to have a driver drive him around. That's what you know from the trailer, all right? The first 40 minutes of the film, the movie, by the way, doesn't start until minute 40, technically. That's when the credits actually start, minute 40. But the first 40 minutes of the film, half of it is irrelevant. So like I said, I already told you the premise. Guy, wife dies, he's the director, and the theater company's forcing him to get a driver. In the first 40 minutes, you learn that this guy, you see his relationship with his wife, you see that the wife is cheating on him, and then he knows, but he doesn't confront her about it. You see that the wife dies, and this guy, it's a weird, unexpected passing, but this guy also, he gets in a car accident because he turns out that he has glaucoma in the left eye, and so driving is not really particularly safe. So with that information and the information from the trailer, you'd assume, again, they wasted 40 minutes telling you this, explaining all that stuff, that he has glaucoma and the car and blah blah. 40 minutes, and then You do a time skip 2 years later. The guy gets hired by a theater company in Hiroshima, and the theater company says, hey, because a previous director, he kind of ran over somebody, you need to get a driver. So we're getting you a driver. That it's for insurance purposes. That's it. So you're like, what the fuck was the whole glaucoma thing had to do? Like, what the fuck did... Why did you waste 40 minutes watching that? Anyway, so like I said, the movie doesn't start until minute 40, and from minute 40 on, it could have just started on minute 40, to be honest. They could have just shown a quick thing with the wife and then started minute 40, but whatever. There's two really interesting films here. Like I said, one has to do with the relationship between the driver and the director, which is basically two damaged people who are kind of helping each other out in moving on from their pasts. It's very interesting. It's subtle, it's slow, but very interesting. That's a bizarre characters in a pseudo father-daughter relationship, and it's actually pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. It's fun to watch. It's slow, and these two characters are not particularly emotional or expressive, but they fit together, and they're helping each other out in their own way. The other movie is a way more interesting movie, and it has to do with them getting the play together. Now, this director, the character, for his plays, he likes doing something very specific. His own signature thing, his own signature move is he makes every single character speak a different language. So let's say if you're watching Romeo and Juliet per se, Romeo speaking Italian, Juliet speaking Russian, the parents, Mercutio is speaking Korean, the nanny is speaking what? I don't know, the sign language, stuff like that. And so that's his thing. And he's setting up that play. And watching that play come together is super interesting. It's super interesting. And this is where I say it's a phenomenal job of directing, because in a play, you can get away with stuff with actors pretending to be or whatever. And like, oh, one speaking one language, one speaking another. Okay, there can be flaws. But this is a movie. And we're watching the characters learn how to do it. So we're intimate. We're really we're up close. We're seeing the reactions. And it's beyond beautifully acted, and you need to direct that in order to happen. So it's kind of a really weird flex that the director's doing in this film, because he's like, yes, I'm showing you how difficult it is for a director to do this while I'm actually doing it. So it's a really bizarre flex kind of that he's doing, but it's interesting. The dynamics, the magic that comes out of two characters that are speaking different languages but understanding each other is interesting to watch. Like I said, that part is super interesting. Now, the thing that takes it a little bit over the top is this guy right here. So, you guys remember when I told you that he caught his wife cheating, but he didn't confront her about it. He kind of he left and he didn't say anything. Well, he's not 100% sure who the wife was cheating with. He has his theory. He has an idea of who it might have was, and he thinks it's this guy, but he's not sure. This guy's an actor. And so this guy is dealing with the situation of the actor shows up to the casting of his new play, and he's really good. Like, he's super beyond good for the particular play. And so he has to go through the whole, am I going to like, he's a really good actor, but am I going to cast the guy that I think might have been, my wife might have been cheating on me with? It's very interesting. Leads to a lot of very interesting drama. Do you bring that up in a conversation? Do you don't? You see the struggle within the character. Again, this is a Japanese guy. He's super stoic, but you still see the suffering of, like, do I bring it up or not? Very interesting film. Again, the issue is that it's very long. You need to be ready for it to be very long, and the first 40 minutes are basically a waste of time. Now, you guys remember when I was talking about Coda, that Coda doesn't have the most interesting deaf character out of all these films? This movie has the most interesting deaf character. There's a girl, an actress, who speaks Korean Sign Language. Now, if you guys didn't know that there's a different sign language for Koreans and for Americans, I'm on the same boat as you. I had no idea. But anyway, and so personally, I thought that she's the most likable deaf character out of all the ones that are nominated in out of all the movies that I saw that were nominated. And the director does something very interesting. Again, it has to do with pacing. So in Coda, as the characters are doing their sign language or everything, there's subtitles, or there's somebody who's directly translating what they're saying. Like the main girl is saying exactly what she's saying. The other characters, you got subtitles. And it makes sense because they're speaking amongst people who actually understand sign language. So you got to put subtitles there. In this one, there's only one other person that understands her sign language. And so what they do here is, as she's talking, nobody's making a sound. Like the interpreter's not making a sound. Until she's done saying her thing, that's when he says, okay, well, she's saying this, and this. And so you're kind of just, it leaves you sitting there in silence, just watching everything she does. And I was like, this is pretty brilliant in a way. Now, again, it makes the movie longer and slower, but it forces you to pay attention to her. You're 100% paying attention to her and everything that she's doing, and it makes you kind of want to understand. So I thought, again, that's good, just good directing and clever storytelling and handling a character with a disability in a very clever way. So I really enjoyed that. So again, like this movie, I really liked it. Unfortunately, too long, and they forced two movies to be one, and I don't really understand why, because both movies could stand on their own and they would have been fantastic films. So there you go. Is it better than The Last Duel? I don't know if better, but different and good enough. Like I didn't hate watching this movie. I actually enjoyed it, and I felt like I learned something. It's a very special, it has a special thing about body language and communication. It's a very interesting message. So I enjoyed it. It's a great film. So there you go. Again, you gotta be ready. It's too long. Next, we have Dune. Dune, sitting at 2 hours and 35 minutes long. Let me just give you the premise here. A noble family becomes embroiled in a war for control over the galaxy's most valuable asset, while its scion becomes troubled by visions of a dark future. That really doesn't give Dune justice, but Dune is really not easy to explain. This is the best movie of the year. Out of all the ones nominated, this is the best movie of the year. Will it win the Best Picture award? I don't know. It is beautifully shot. It is fantastic. It is fantastically acted by everybody. Like I said, the worst actor in this movie is Bautista, and I didn't feel like his performance was particularly terrible. It was just, he's on screen with a bunch of, or he's on the same screen as a bunch of heavyweights, and you could tell, especially, he got scenes with Skarsgård that are not easy for him. Skarsgård makes a hell of a performance, and he's not particularly on the same level, but still, it was fine. Like, his character was simple, and he did it fine. Beautifully shot. The soundtrack I really enjoyed. The acting's phenomenal. So to me, this one has the best pacing. Again, active protagonists, and things are happening too. Are the young Atreides here, but he's actually trying to do stuff. I thought if the world is fair, this is the best movie of the year. It should win the Best Picture award. However, this is the Oscars, and the Oscars are bullshit. So if you want to see my full review of Dune, it's the only one out of this movies that I actually did a full review on. You can check it out. It's on my channel. Whenever this movie came out, let me see when it came out. Released, I don't know, late last year, October, I think. So it's a few podcasts back. If you want to check it out, I loved it. Okay, highly recommend it. Just two things. One, watch it with subtitles, because they say a lot of weird words that you may not understand unless you've read the books. So, subtitles. Number two, have a bottle of water. Also, the subtitles, very important because they whisper a lot. And when they're whispering and saying words like Arrakis, it's really hard to understand. You're like, did he say this? No, it's hard to understand sometimes. So, watch with subtitles and have a bottle of water with you. You'll appreciate it. Anyway, so there you go. This one's on HBO Max, so you can actually watch it there for quote-unquote free. Again, I'm not going to go too into it because I already did a full review. Highly recommend it. Beautifully shot. Great acting. Best movie of the year. Should win it. Better than The Last Duel. Easy. This one's easy. Better than The Last Duel. Next, we have King Richard. Now, this is a solid film. It's a great biopic. And I believe Will Smith won the Golden Globe for Best Actor for this movie. I'm torn. I'm very torn. Because I think Will Smith's done like 3 biopics. This is the 3rd one. The first one, I don't know, I think it was Ali, and he got nominated for it. Then the next one was The Pursuit of Happiness, and he got nominated for it. And now it's King Richard. This is a great performance. Don't get me wrong. It's a great performance, but it's not as good as the other 2. So unfortunately, again, it's the Oscars, and they may give it to him just to give it to him, because okay, he's due, but it's not his best performance, and the other 2 performances are better. However, this year, who is he going up against? He's going up against Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. I haven't seen it, but Denzel Washington's a good actor, so we'll see. He's going up against Andrew Garfield in Tick, Tick, Boom. I haven't seen that movie either. It's on Netflix, but again, Andrew Garfield is a great actor, and he got robbed. Andrew Garfield got robbed for Hacksaw Ridge. He should have won, so maybe they'll give it to him. And he's going up against Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. I'll talk about that one in a minute. And Javier Bardem for Being the Ricardos, which I haven't seen. But Javier Bardem, again, heavyweight. So, and also, I believe he's also won an Oscar. I think he won it for No Country for Old Men. I need some water here. Give me a sec. I've been talking for 40 minutes. Anyway, so will Will Smith win this? Honestly, if he hadn't won the Golden Globe, I might have said yes. But since he won the Golden Globe, and the Oscars are infamous for being like, well, we can't just give it to the same person as the Golden Globes did, otherwise we'll become irrelevant. He might not get it. Again, they might give it to him because he's due, but whatever. Anyway, so this is King Richard, a look at how tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams became who they are after the coaching from their father, Richard Williams. This is a highly enjoyable film. Out of all the movies that were nominated, this is the one that I told my parents, you should watch it. You will like it. It's well made. It's a story. It's a biopic, and it doesn't follow the pacing of an ordinary film. It tries really hard, and it is mostly successful, but it's not the traditional pacing, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You got a very active I was going to say massively, but a very active protagonist with King Richard there, and which just makes it fun. And there's also a thing about kind of knowing what's going to happen. Like, we know who Venus and Serena Williams are. And so watching their story or being passed over, it's like, how can you pass up a greatness? Like all of you are fools for passing up this greatness. And the conviction of the dad of, not wanting to knowing he's right, being maybe too stubborn, but still he's trying to be a great dad, but he's also kind of a piece of shit at times. So it's a great film. Highly enjoy. It's a sports movie. It makes tennis interesting. I don't think that there's that many great tennis movies. I'd say that this is a great tennis movie, and it's got a lot. Like I said, a lot of heart. Heart is very important in a movie. This one has it in spades. Very great acting. And I was honestly surprised that John Berthal did not get nominated for this one. For those of you who don't, John Berthal plays one of the trainers, and he's the Punisher in the Netflix series. He also plays Shane in The Walking Dead. Most of you people know him as Shane from The Walking Dead. John Berthal's a solid actor, and he usually plays kind of like a badass. Here, he's kind of like a weird tennis guy, and he tries to be like overly active and stuff, and like he's almost unrecognizable in personality-wise. Like if you just heard him, you wouldn't recognize. You're looking at him, it's like John Berthal has a very recognizable nose and face. But here he like based on his personality, and it's. I thought he should have been nominated, and honestly, I thought that if John Berthal would have been nominated as supporting actor, he would have been in contention with Ciarán Hinds for best actor. But again, he didn't get the nod. He didn't get the nominee, and so I think Ciarán Hinds should win it. Anyway, movie. Really good, really fun, really enjoyable, great story. I love that there was controversy over the name of the movie. Like, why is the Venus and Serena movie being called King Richard? It makes no sense. Why is there biopic? They named it. Venus and Serena, they produced the movie, and they named it in honor of their father. Why? Because they loved their father, and the father did a lot for him, and they wanted to honor that. So, again, a lot of heart. Will Smith win the Academy Award for Best Actor? I don't think so. Mainly because he kind of already won the Golden Globe, and again, it's Will's curse, and it's not, out of his 3 biopics, it's not his best performance. it's a good performance. In fact, I'll say it's a great performance. And you personality-wise, he's not recognizable in the personality-wise, but it's not his best performance, unfortunately, out of the three. But again, you're putting up against a Muhammad Ali and the guy from Pursuit of Happiness. Those two are heavyweight, massively heavyweight. He's basically competing against himself in his two greatest roles, and this one, it's not that much short. He doesn't fall short by a lot. It's just a little bit, and I think it's because the other ones are more about him. This one, it's about him and the daughters. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. Like, Pursuit of Happiness is about him and his kid, but it's mostly about him. He's the one that's doing everything. Here, he starts being the active protagonist and then kind of becomes a passenger in a way, but it makes sense. That's life. That's parenting. You start off being the one and only, and then you kind of have to let go a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's King Richard. Again, out of all the movies, this is the one that I recommended my parents to watch because I thought that they would really like it. So this one definitely has a place in the nominees. Is it better than The Last Duel? I think, again, it's on par. It's a very different style. It's a biopic. It's a sports movie. Very different. This one's actually kind of for kids. So it's different, but better in its own way and worse in its own way. So it's on par. Again, worthy of being nominated for sure. It's one of the movies that I enjoyed watching the most. So there you go. Next, we got Licorice Pizza. Now, this movie is kind of lying to you. There's no licorice in the movie and there's no pizza. So I really don't understand where the title came from, but whatever. This is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. It's 2 hours and 13 minutes long. It's the story of Alana Kane and Gary Valentine growing up, running around, and going through the treacherous navigation of first love in San Fernando Valley in 1973. Now, I am a Paul Thomas Anderson fan, a massive fan. I love most of his movies. I've seen pretty much every single one. I haven't seen The Phantom Thread yet, to be honest, but I love most of his movies. For those of you who don't know, he directed Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk Love. So he's done a lot of fantastic films. Some of my favorite films are Paul Thomas Anderson films. However, Paul Thomas Anderson has two types of films, in my humble opinion. He has movies that you can rewatch time and again, and movies that you can only watch once and be okay with it. The perfect example for this, I've always said, is Magnolia. This was one with Tom Cruise. It's got everybody and their mother appears in Magnolia, but the guy who got nominated for it is Tom Cruise. He's like a motivational speaker. The movie's too dramatic. There's too much drama in that movie, and so I could only watch it once in like one sitting because it's just too much. It's too much for me. It's too much drama. I couldn't take it. I saw it once and I'm happy with it. Done. Anyway, Licorice Pizza falls under the category of movie that I'm happy I've watched once. Again, happy I watched it. It's a good movie. It's enjoyable, but once and I'm good. Now, the thing about this movie that it's a very impressive work of directing, and visually it actually feels like you're watching something in the 70s. It's visually very impressive. The Paul Thomas Anderson movies have a few things that every single Paul Thomas Anderson movie is going to have. It's going to have a lot of long shots, a lot of continuous shots, which are fun. It's going to have long, interesting, weird conversations, and it's going to have a bunch of cameos. Those are three things that you know that a Paul Thomas Anderson movie is probably going to have, except for There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood is probably the least PTA movie of all the PTA movies, but whatever. Anyway, so Licorice Pizza does that. There's a lot of really long shots. There's a lot of really interesting conversations, long conversations, and there's a lot of cameos. Now, I was beyond impressed with the work of the two main characters, Alana Kane and Gary Valentine, because these two actors are supposed to be unknowns. These are supposed to be two random unknown actors that Paul Thomas Anderson picked for the movie, and they stand their own against heavyweight actors. Like, the girl has a scene with Sean Penn, and she holds her own. The kid Gary, he has a scene with Bradley Cooper, who's phenomenal in the film, and he holds his own. So respect for casting them, respect for how they prepare for the movie. They have a lot of really long conversations in a single shot, and they got the chemistry going on. They got their lines perfectly. So I thought as a directing job, it was great. The girl, I thought's fantastic. I don't know why she didn't get nominated for anything. Alana Haim, that's her name, but she should have gotten a nod. Like, again, if any actress in the Best Picture nominees should have gotten a nod, it probably should have been the mom from Belfast or this girl, because these are the ones that are actually the main characters of the movie, and it's a good movie. So, sorry, I need water again. Speaking what now for 50 minutes? God damn. So, the movie's fun. It's enjoyable. The character Gary is a hustler, and he's beyond likable. The characters are very likable. The setting's great. The only issue that I have with the movie, and it's the reason why I say it's one of the movies that are not that rewatchable, is that you're kind of just watching random stuff happen. So it's two characters that, again, they're passive protagonists. Stuff is happening around them, and they adapt to it. And the main character kind of gets the Gary character gets ideas of new businesses that he could start, and he's a kid, but he's really likable and stuff like that. He's a hustler, and so things are happening around them, and they adapt. It's not it's not one adventure that you're seeing, which is usually what a movie is. If this were like a TV series, it probably would be great. Honestly, this thing should have been a TV series. It would have been phenomenal, even a miniseries, and it would have been better because each one would have been an adventure, like a different adventure. But it's kind of just like all thrown together. That's the issue. But again, well made, well directed, very well acted, and so enjoyable film. Should it be there? Sure. Again, I'm a Paul Thomas Anderson guy. I'm a fan. That could be the issue, but whatever. I enjoyed watching the film. I probably won't be watching it again. And the most important thing, there's no licorice and there's no pizza. Why is it called Licorice Pizza? It's never really explained, but whatever. Maybe it means something to somebody. It doesn't mean anything to me. Next, we have Nightmare Alley. This is the Guillermo del Toro film. A grifter working his way up from low-ranking carnival worker to lauded psychic medium matches wits with a psychiatrist bent on exposing him. So, first off, that is not a fair description of the movie whatsoever. It makes you feel... It tells you kind of like that there's a protagonist and a main antagonist here, and that they're always trying to... It's a game of cat and mouse. It's not. It's not a game of cat and mouse. The movie is... It's fun. It's enjoyable. Del Toro knows how to make creepy films. It's not his best film, by far. The performances are okay. They're good. Bradley Cooper's really good. Cate Blanchett's really good. It's good. It's a good movie. You'll enjoy watching it, but again, it's one of those movies that I don't really feel like watching it again. I saw it once. I get stressed when characters do really stupid things, like really obviously stupid things. By the way, it's too long. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's the last movie that I saw. Too long, and characters make actively stupid decisions, like massively stupid. Like, why did this thing happen? Because you were stupid. You did something massively stupid, and the worst part is that you knew you shouldn't have done it, but you did it anyway. Why? Because you're stupid. It's interesting. It's fun. It's got like a nice. The story comes full circle in a fun way, I guess. It's predictable if you know how to read certain tropes. It's probably the most traditional in many ways of traditional way of storytelling. But it's just it stresses me out to see characters do stupid things for no apparent reason. So it's watchable. I didn't feel like I left it watching that like I've watched anything special, but it's a watchable movie. All right, if I'm gonna sit 2 hours and 30 minutes, I'd rather sit watching this one than sit watching, I don't know, Belfast or something. Because Belfast, it was shorter, but not as fun. So this was at least a little bit more fun, creepier, visually more interesting. It just lacks something. I'm not 100% sure yet. Again, I just saw it last night. I'm not 100% sure what it's missing, but it is. And it's got great performances. William Dafoe in it, it's fantastic. Rooney Mara is fantastic. But Ron Perlman is fantastic. It's just missing something. maybe I'll be able to put my finger on it eventually, but not right now. It's too close. But anyway, watchable. Should it be here? Is it better than The Last Duel? No. Not even close. Not even close. So, next, we have the movie with the most nominees out of all of them. We got The Power of the Dog. The Power of the Dog, sitting at 2 hours and 6 minutes long. Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons. Now, this movie's got the most nominations out of any other movie. And just on the actors alone. So you got Benedict Cumberbatch nominated for Best Actor. You got Jesse Plemons nominated for Best Supporting Actor. You got Cody Smith-McPhee nominated for Best Supporting Actor. You got Kirsten Dunst nominated for Best Supporting Actress. So there you go. Every single actor in this movie basically got nominated for something. Oh, by the way, I should have switched it for this one. All right. The director, Jane Campion, got nominated for stuff. Honestly, the movie's boring. It's too long and it's boring, and it's the definition of a passive protagonist, and it sucks. The setting is kind of interesting. Visually, it's weird. Listen, if you like Jane Campion, you like Jane Campion. I'm not particularly a fan. Like, her most successful film probably is The Piano. I thought The Piano was kind of boring. Like, most people are like, oh no, it's a sexy film. It's like, yeah, it's boring. It's a boring movie. But whatever. I mean, people liked it. It won her the Academy Award or whatever. Anyway, Mob Nasty, thank you for joining me. So, here's the issue with... let me read you here what this movie's about. Charismatic rancher Phil Burbank inspires fear and awe in those around them. When his brother comes home with a new wife and her son, Phil torments them until he finds himself exposed to the possibility of love. So, from that, you would understand that this dude's like evil, right? He's like a total monster, and he's actually actively trying to torture people. He's actually really not. Personally, I don't really... From watching the movie, I didn't really see him do anything. This is the main character. You got Benedict Cumberbatch, the main character, and he is a passive protagonist through and through. Now, for those of you who are just tapping in and don't know what a passive protagonist is, an active protagonist is a protagonist that does things in the movie, and that pushes the story forward. So the main character makes a decision, and that causes things to happen. A passive protagonist, things happen to him and they react. Passive protagonists are way more boring than active protagonists. Why? Because they're basically we might be following them. They might be the main character, but they're not the main part of the story or the most critical part of the story. Anyway, I heard Sam Elliott's breakdown for this movie, and he describes it as watching Chippendale play cowboys. He did not like it. And I 100% understand what he's trying to say. You get to see a bunch of cowboys do a bunch of really homoerotic, not cowboy stuff. And I'm not even talking about the gay characters in this movie. Because there's one character who's clearly gay, which would be Benedict Cumberbatch. There's another character who is effeminate and is probably gay, which is the kid there, the son. And then there's everybody else. And the homoeroticism really comes from everybody else. It's really weird. You get to see a bunch of naked cowboys, horsing around and naked in the water and stuff. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, this is not how cowboys are. Like, I saw Brokeback Mountain. These cowboys are acting way, way, way gayer than those two. Usually cowboys are kind of like, they're in the sun all day. They're not like really happy people, or they're not known for all that stuff. And so it's really weird to watch, but I thought it was a very accurate description. Anyway, so the issue with this movie is, first off, and this one I'll probably do a lot of spoilers. It's boring. It's too long. It's boring. And I was an hour and a half in to the movie, and I was like, what the fuck is the point of this movie? What's happening? So, supposedly Benedict Cumberbatch is this bad guy, and he's torturing Kirsten Dunst, and it's driving Kirsten Dunst to alcoholism. And I'm watching it, and it's like, he's not really doing anything. Benedict Cumberbatch is just, all right, I'll break down the character. He is in a very unhealthy relationship with his brother. So, both of them are probably in their 40s, maybe 30s, 40s. I don't know how old Jesse Plemons is, but I'm pretty sure Benedict Cumberbatch's in his 40s. I guess I'll check that really quickly. So Benedict Cumberbatch, 76. So he's 40s. Jesse Plemons, 88. So 30s. So two grown-ass men living together in the same ranch, in the same house, a big-ass house, sleeping in the same room. Not exactly a healthy relationship. And so Benedict Cumberbatch, kind of a dick. He feels like his brother's slipping away, and he reacts the way that emotionally unhealthy people react. He's a dick, so he starts insulting him, and so he tries to he tries to push him away, but what he wants is to have him closer. That's interesting, that's fine, but whatever. So he's being a dick. The brother meets Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst is a widower of a doctor who killed himself. She has a grown-ass son. She has her own business, and so he marries her. He brings her to the house, and the son, who's probably 17, 18, goes to boarding school somewhere or to college or whatnot. So, listen, I understand how torture works, or like being a bully works, and usually the things that Benedict Cumberbatch does in this movie could be considered like bullying or torture on very weak people. Like it all depends on who you're hitting. It's not the same of, like hitting a piece of wood with a hammer than hitting a piece of glass. It's very different. It always depends on who you're hitting, and the force really doesn't matter. It's who's taking the hit. I get that. To me, it seems more of an issue of the glass than the hammer, but whatever. A hammer is a hammer. So the glass has to become stronger. That's my way of seeing the world always. But whatever. It doesn't make sense for the mom to be this brittle. Like, at all. Like, here's the things that Benedict Cumberbatch does to her. She says, "Hi, brother." And he's like, "I'm not your brother. You're just here for our money." That's it. He doesn't go chase her out and be like, you gold digging whore or whatever. He's just like, "I'm not your brother. You want our money." He was sitting in his house, reading the paper, ignoring her. She tries to be nice. He responds as a dick. So he's a dick. Then she's kind of insecure. They're about to have a dinner party. The husband wants her to play the piano. She's trying to practice because she feels like she's not good at it. And Benedict Cumberbatch walks into the house without her knowing. He goes to his room. He grabs his banjo and he plays along with her. Except that he's really good with the banjo and she's not really good with the piano. So she feels insecure because she's like dun 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 dun, and he's like dun 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 dun, and he plays along with her the same song and he's better at it. And so she's like and runs out of the house. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, he's in his house. He played the banjo. It's your fault for being brittle. What the fuck is he? And it doesn't make sense for Kirsten Dunst. Again, I told you who she is. She's a single mother, a widower from a suicide. Her husband committed suicide. She runs her own business. This the 1920s. This lady should be tough as nails. But no, him being a dick to her is costing her, driving her to alcoholism and all that stuff. Okay, whatever. Now, again, this I'm going to do a lot of spoiler shit because this is the most nominated movie out of all of them. The ending makes no fucking sense. No fucking sense. I know it's set up and it does this, blah, blah. No, it doesn't. So throughout the movie, you see Benedict Cumberbatch basically be a dick to the wife and do rancher stuff. They go out, they grab cattle. They avoid cattle that died from anthrax and stuff like that. And they skin the animals, they tan the hides, he's using the hides to make rope and stuff like that. Normal ranch stuff. And at one point in the movie, Benedict Cumberbatch, the son, comes to visit the ranch and he decides to kind of take him under his wing. Now, you're not exactly sure at first if he's actually taking him under his wing or if he's trying to get him close to kind of like torture him and do something truly evil. Like, oh yeah, I want the son to trust me and I'll take him out to the woods and I'll kill him and stuff, and I'll pretend it's an accident or whatever. And that's actually kind of like, that's the horror element of the movie. The movie's either homoerotic or horror in nature in many ways, but whatever. And so it's got kind of that element to it. And you honestly, as the mom, you kind of feel for her because, like, yeah, maybe you understand her being worried about it. No, he's gonna go kill my son or whatever. He doesn't know how to ride a horse, blah blah. But the things that Benedict Cumberbatch's character does are not bad. He teaches him how to ride a horse. He's making a rope for him. He's actually being a pretty nice guy throughout the movie. He's actually like really nice, trying to become his mentor. Like, all right, he's kind of a part of the family now. Like, I don't like it. I hate his mom, but fine. I'm teaching him. He's being a dick about it, of course, but he's doing nice things. Like I've met this guy. I know the guy who's a dick but does nice things anyway. And so supposedly at the movie at one point, he, after he's tanned all the hides, he goes out with the son and they're going out and doing ranching stuff, right? In the meantime, an Indian shows up to the ranch and he wants to buy off all the tan hides that they already have. The lady who works at the house is like, no, we're not selling these. These are not for sale or whatever. Kirsten Dunst, who's drunk, is like, hey, what's going on here with the Indian? What, do they want to buy the hides? And she's like, yeah, but I told them they're not for sale. The owner's gonna burn them. And you're like, what? Yeah, Phil, Benedict Cumberbatch, he's gonna burn them. He's going to get them all. He wants to do a big pile and he's gonna burn them. And I'm like, why the fuck is he gonna burn his hide? Why go? I've never really met or heard of a rancher that does all this work just to burn it. It makes no fucking sense. Like, you have your people working on something, then you raise the cows, you take care of them, you kill them afterwards, you skin them, you tan the hide, you have to shave it. It's a whole lot of work just to burn it. It made no fucking sense to me, but whatever. Kirsten Dunst then runs off after the Indians and is like, hey, just take the hides. They're free. Take them. And so from that, Benedict Cumberbatch becomes beyond pissed off. Beyond, because they're his hides. Like, they're mine. I needed them. Again, he was going to burn them, but he's like, he's super angry. And you're like, okay, this is the catalyst, right? This is the thing that's going to drive him over the edge. He's actually going to do something. He's actually going to actively do something evil. And what he does is he complains to his brother. He's respectful about the brother's wife. He's respectful to the brother's wife in the relationship. He's beyond pissed off. He's outside. He's fuming. He's steaming. He's complaining to the son. It's like, because your mom's a drunk or whatever. Then the brother comes out and he complains like, your woman is crazy. She did this. She's drunk. She has an alcoholism problem, blah, blah. And that's it. He does not talk to her. He does not do anything. Like, he's a dick. But in the moment where he had the perfect reason to go off on her and rip her a new one, he does nothing. He goes to his brother to complain about his wife. That's it. That is, to me, it's beyond respectful for his brother's relationship. He's actually being, he's furious. And by the way, the whole hide thing makes no fucking sense, but whatever. It's his hides. It's his property. If my brother's wife gave away my property, even if they think it's useless to them, I'd be beyond fucking furious. And honestly, I would do the exact same thing. I would not go to my sister-in-law and rip her a new one. I would go to my brother. Why? Because I'm not going to get in the middle of his relationship with his wife. It's a respectful thing. It's respect for my brother. And so that's exactly what this character does. He's respectful. He's a dick, but he's respectful to the brother's relationship. I don't get it. And so supposedly after that, so he's out of hides and he wants to finish the rope because he's making a rope for the son, right? And so the son's like, hey, actually, I took a few strips of hide, and so I took a few strips of hide and I saved it, and we can use that. And so Benedict Cumberbatch's like, all right, fine, I'll work all night long and I'll finish this rope for you. Now, I need to explain some things about the son. The son is clearly a psychopath. Why? Because the kid, he captured a rabbit and then he killed it, and then he started doing an autopsy in his room. So clearly there's something wrong with the kid. Anyway, whatever. There's also a point where he's doing an autopsy on a cow that died from anthrax. It's really weird, but whatever. He's clearly wrong in the head. Anyway, or at least he's cold. Like he's like surgically cold. Whatever. So they spend the whole night working on this rope. He's helping him out, and that's where the homoerotic scene is, where the guy he's Benedict Cumberbatch's working with his hands. The guy's smoking a cigarette and he puts it on his mouth, so it's kind of like they're kissing in a way. Whatever. Anyway, the next morning, Benedict Cumberbatch wakes up with a fever. So the brother takes him to the doctor. The next thing we know, Benedict Cumberbatch's dead. Now, in the funeral, the doctor says, like, he's like, oh yeah, well, the convulsions that he had in the end were crazy. I don't understand what's happening, but based off this everything, I think he got anthrax poisoning. And the brother is like, that doesn't really make any sense. He was extra careful being away from all the animals that had anthrax and all that stuff. So whatever. So it's a mystery, right? And that's when you're like, okay, well, we saw the son making an autopsy on a cow that died of anthrax. The son miraculously had pieces of hide, and he gave the pieces of hide to Benedict Cumberbatch. So basically, if you put the pieces together, the son gave Benedict Cumberbatch pieces of a cow that died from anthrax, and which ended up poisoning him with anthrax, and that's what killed him. So the son killed him. And you're like, none of this makes any fucking sense, right? Because again, and supposedly it's because the son, from the beginning of the movie, the son is like, well, a son's got to protect her mother or make sure that she's happy or whatnot. Again, Benedict Cumberbatch did not really do anything. If you add things up, Kirsten Dunst's character does something way worse to Benedict Cumberbatch than Benedict Cumberbatch does to her. But whatever. And again, passive protagonist. The dude just wants to work in his ranch and that's it. And have homoerotic fantasies. That's pretty much all he wants. And he's not really doing anything. Passive protagonist. Again, a million times. Passive protagonist. And so the son's plan depends on the mom getting drunk, giving away all the hides, and him and leaving the perfect situation for him to give Benedict Cumberbatch poisoned hide. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. Hide does not seem like an easy thing to make. In fact, throughout the movie, we see that it's actually a process that takes a lot of time. Again, you need to skin the animal, you need to put it in the sun, you need to shave it, all this stuff. And apparently this guy made a whole bunch of strips of hide without anybody ever telling him how to do it. Like, I saw him learn how to ride a horse. I saw him learn how to build a fence. I did not see him learn how to tan a fucking hide. I didn't. And it doesn't seem like something that's easy to do at all whatsoever. But anyway, so the movie depends on him knowing that the mom's gonna get drunk and give away all the hides for him to give Benedict Cumberbatch this perfect hide that's poisoned, and for Benedict Cumberbatch to have like an injury in his hand and stuff. It's stupid. It's one of those things where the writer or whatever, or yeah, I guess the writer or director's like, you are trying to be a little bit too cute with it. You're trying to be a little bit too clever with it, and honestly, it doesn't float. For me, it doesn't float. I usually focus most of my attention on movies. I focus it on the villain because I like it when their plans make sense. To me, a villain makes a movie, and here it's like, really, it's gratuitous. It's too gratuitous. To me, it doesn't fly. And the only performance here that's actually worth a damn is Benedict Cumberbatch. The only reason why this movie is you can keep watching it is because of Benedict Cumberbatch. His performance is beyond fantastic, even though he's a passive protagonist. So that's how good the performance of Benedict Cumberbatch is. It's honestly a stupid movie. It's slow. It's dumb. It's boring. It's pointless. But the performance is so good that you're like, all right, I'll keep watching to see what you do when you eventually do something. Now, eventually he doesn't do anything because, again, passive protagonist. But it's good enough that you want to see him do something with it. You're there for 2 hours. And I'm like, all right, let's see Benedict Cumberbatch do something with this. Because it looks like he's going to do something with it. He's doing really good. But no. So if he might win the Oscar for Best Actor here. Because, again, it's a bad movie. If anybody else were acting on this movie, it would not be anywhere as good. It would not be anywhere as interesting. It would not be anywhere as watchable. It's all carried by Benedict Cumberbatch from beginning to end. It's the only thing that makes this movie even worth a damn. And they don't do anything with it. They don't do anything with the character. It doesn't take it anywhere. It does nothing. So I'm not blaming Benedict Cumberbatch or his performance. I'm blaming the writing. The writing was stupid. The directing was bad. So he might win it. He might, honestly, if it's between Will Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch, I would probably give it to Benedict Cumberbatch. Even though Will Smith has a better character and a better story and a better movie, I think performance-wise, Benedict Cumberbatch did a better job. So I can't blame him for the movie being shit because of the story when his performance was really good. All right? So, again, carried this movie by a lot. Should it win the best picture of the year? No. It's boring. It's stupid. And honestly, I've always said I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. I generally trust IMDb. IMDb tries to be somewhat fair. And let me just give you here the ratings of the movies that we've seen so far. You got Belfast, 7.3. You got Coda, 8. You got Don't Look Up, 7.2. Drive My Car, 7.7. Dune, where's the rating for Dune? 8.1. King Richard, 7.5. Licorice Pizza, 7.4. Nightmare Alley, 7.1. Power of the Dog, 6.9. It's the only one that doesn't break 7. All right? How did this movie get so many fucking nominations? How did the other actors get nominations over John Berthal? I don't get it. How did this movie get nominated over The Last Duel? Or over, I don't know, Adam Driver? Over Ben Affleck? Over anybody? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And by the way, the girl from The Last Duel should have been nominated as well. But whatever. 6.9 in IMDb. All the other ones are at least 7.1. This is the only 6.9, which should tell you a lot about this movie. It's stupid, it's slow, it's boring. It just has one really great actor in it, and that's it. That's it. Big waste of fucking time. Waste of a fantastic performance. Next. So, the final movie here, out of all the ones that Academy Award nominees, we have West Side Story. This is Steven Spielberg movie, sitting at 2 hours and 36 minutes. Son of a bitch. This one's actually a 7.4 in IMDb. So here's the story, basically the summary, or the synopsis. An adaptation of the 1957 musical West Side Story explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds. So, this movie follows every single beat. By the way, I've never seen West Side Story, the musical. I never really knew the story or whatever. I didn't know anything about the movie or the story. This story follows every single beat of Romeo and Juliet. Every single beat. It's basically Romeo and Juliet and gangs of New York in a musical. That should be fantastic, right? It should be phenomenal. Directed by Steven Spielberg. I love Gangs of New York. I love Romeo and Juliet. So if you kind of get those two to have a baby, it'd be fantastic, right? Here's the issue with this movie. First off, too long. Way too long. And it drags and you feel it. The big mistake with this movie is they tried too hard to make it a song and dance musical. If they would have made it like an actually dramatic movie where they sing the songs, that's fine. It would have been fantastic. It would have been a phenomenal film. Like, you guys saw Les Miserables with Anne Hathaway and stuff? Singing in movies, usually, the way it works is a character's expressing their inner feelings in a way. They're expressing it through songs. We've seen that since forever. If you've grown up watching Disney movies, you know it. You've seen Ariel express her feelings about wanting to go out and explore, to live in the sun, to live on Earth and be where the people are. If you've seen Hercules, express that he doesn't feel like he fits in this world. He doesn't understand, so he wants to go almost anywhere to feel he will belong. That's what song does. That's what it's supposed to do. Here, in West Side Story, it's kind of how they use it. Unfortunately, there's too much dancing in here, and it makes the movie not serious and ridiculous. Again, if they would have made this kind of like Les Miserables, where they just sing sometimes to express their emotions, and then the rest of the movie, serious movie, would have been fantastic. You don't see Les Miserables with them, dancing as they're shooting in the barricades or fist fighting or something. Here, you don't see that. Here, you see them dancing, doing fucking ballet as they're getting in fist fights. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? So I'm supposed to be seeing these two gangs, these tough guys, these scary dudes doing fucking ballet before they get in a fist fight. And these dudes are supposed to be scary? Seriously? What the fuck are you doing here, Spielberg? What the fuck? Who had this idea? And this movie has actually pretty great moments in it. The girl is a phenomenal singer. Phenomenal. She's fantastic. Rachel Segler, her voice is fantastic. And she's actually a pretty good crier. So the sad parts of the movie are pretty good. And like her voice is like, it's like glass. It's beautiful. She's got a gifted voice. And there's a lot of really interesting shots here. There's a beautiful shot where the main character Anton, the shot's looking down on a puddle of water, and so it's night, and so the water looks it looks black, and so he walks over the puddle of water, and all the lights of New York get reflected. It's a beautiful shot. So it's beautifully shot in many ways. The problem is all the fucking dancing. It makes the movie ridiculous. If they would have made a serious movie where serious gang dudes are like trying to kill each other and fight each other, like this is not theater choreography, okay? Theater choreography has its place in theater, and that's because it looks fake and ridiculous, but you accept it because it's theater. This is film. If you're gonna do a fighting choreography, you have to make it look like it's a real fucking fight. Like there's actual real fucking consequences. Like they're actually trying to hurt each other. There's difference. They're different mediums. They're different for a reason. Each one has their own specific style, and it should be respected, because you can't have a theater-esque fight up close because it'll look fake as fuck. The beauty of theater is that you're far away, so you're like, you believe a little, and you accept a little bit more of the dance. Because you don't have the freedom of film where you could actually go out into a field or a battlefield or whatever. So they have to be creative with it. Here, they did it this way, and it sucks. It makes the movie way longer. It makes the characters way less scarier, and you take them you just don't take them seriously at all. And again, it should have been a good movie. It follows every single beat of Romeo and Juliet, which is a great story. It's got kind of a Gangs of New York feel to it. It should have been great, but it's not, because they did not take it seriously as a movie. They try to make it too much of a musical. And again, not the issue. The songs are not the issue here. The singing's not the issue here. It's all the fucking dancing that makes this movie stupid. Now, there's certain scenes where the dancing could have been fine. There's a ballroom thing, like a ballroom dance thing, or like a prom thing. The dancing there, perfectly appropriate. While they're doing a musical scene, there's my favorite musical here or scene is the one like Living in America, where they're running around, they're doing their dance. There, it makes perfect sense for them to be dancing. But where you're about to get in a fight, it's stupid, and you're making the movie longer. It doesn't really make any sense. So, overall, bad movie. Too long, and they didn't really get that they were supposed to be making a movie, which is weird because again, it's Spielberg. So, is it better than The Last Duel? No, not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all. For those of you who got that reference, I like you guys. Anyway, so what does this leave us with? So again, I'm just going to go through the list of the nominees here very quickly. You got, for Best Picture, you got Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. Personally, I thought the best movie is Dune. By far, best made, best acted, best like cinematography, beautifully shot and all that stuff. If you're wanting to watch like a Sunday movie, Coda's fun. If you're trying to recommend a movie to your parents, King Richard's fun. Honestly, King Richard is probably the most watchable movie out of all of them, or easiest to watch. And it's interesting, well acted, a lot of fun. So I recommend King Richard. Power of the Dog, long, boring, stupid. West Side Story, too long, too much dancing, can't take it seriously. Belfast is okay. Drive My Car, again, too long, but really well made. So, I think Dune should win it. If not, listen, the Golden Globes gave it to The Power of the Dog. I don't get it. And again, it makes me respect the Golden Globes less. But to me, it's Dune. There's really no other movie that I'm like, yeah, it's on par with Dune. Out of all of these, not even close. So I'd go to Dune. Best Director, you got Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. Notice who's fucking missing there. The dude who made the best movie of the year, Dune. Denis Villeneuve is not nominated for Best Director. So go fuck yourself, Oscars. Out of all of these, I like Paul Thomas Anderson. Again, I'm a fan of his style. And I like Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. Why? Because as I explained, the thing that he did with multiple languages and actors and being right here when they do it is beyond fantastic. It's not an easy thing to direct actress in that situation. Visually, it's very interesting. The only issue with this movie, again, it's two really good stories forced into one, so it makes the movie a bit too long. But the acting's great, and particularly all the stuff of the multiple languages is phenomenal, and it's very hard to do. And so he managed to get out of those great, fantastic performances out of their actors. So out of those 5, it's between Ryusuke Hamaguchi and, to me personally, Paul Thomas Anderson. Because again, he got 2 random nobodies. So he found 2 random nobodies, and he directed them in a way that they could carry a film, a long film, make it interesting, make them likable, and hold their own in scenes with heavyweights. Again, the girl has a scene with Sean Penn, and she's not 100% overshadowed by Sean Penn. That's difficult. Sean Penn is not an easy guy to work with. He's kind of an intimidating guy in general, and she holds her own. So respect to that, and that comes A, from the girl's acting chops, B, from the directing. So there you go. Best Actress. None of the female leads of the Best Picture nominees are nominated for Best Actress. Why? I don't fucking know. Like Kristen Stewart for Spencer got nominated. Spencer sucked. I saw the performance. Her accent is fucking terrible. I don't know why she's there. They should have nominated the mom from Belfast, because she does a really good job. I think her name is Becca Kovacic. I think that might be it. I don't know. No, I think it might be a producer. Yeah, that's a producer. So really good job by her. Fantastic job. The only thing is, I think she's not the main character. The girl from Licorice Pizza, Alana, great job as well. So either of those 2 could have been nominated for Best Actress, I think, and it would have been fine. Even the girl from West Side Story, who she's kind of in Spanish, the word is mosca muerta, but it's the same issue as Juliet. Juliet is kind of a passive protagonist as well. She's not the story is about honestly, Romeo and Juliet could have been called Romeo and his stupid ass decisions. That's what the movie could have been called, but whatever. Or I'm sorry, the play could have been called, but whatever. So, but she's a great singer and a great crier. So maybe her. So any of those 3, again, if I have to rank them, I'd go the mom from Belfast, the girl from Licorice Pizza, or the girl from West Side Story. None of them nominated. So it tells you a lot. I mean, Coda is about a girl. Like she's the main character. She's the main protagonist. King Richard has has the Williams sisters in it. Nothing. So all right. So again, none of these are worthy for Best Actress nominations, I guess. But Kristen Stewart for Spencer, holy fucking shit. Best Actor, Javier Bardem, Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith, King Richard, Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Like I said, I haven't seen the Ricardos, Tick, Tick, Boom, Tragedy of Macbeth, but I know the actors are really good. I've saw the trailers for all of them. Based off the trailers, I think Andrew Garfield did the best. My heart wants Will Smith to win it at least once, but he already won the Golden Globe, so I don't think he's gonna get it. And like I said, out of his 3 biopics, this is like the number 3. I'd go Pursuit of Happiness number 1, Ali number 2, and Richard Williams number 3. And it's really close. It's like a 10, a 9.9, and a 9.8. So unfortunately, he's overshadowed by his own greatness. And then you got Benedict Cumberbatch, who carries the film, like all of it. This movie should have been shit. 100% shit, crappy, terrible, but he makes it interesting to watch because his performance is good. So I think Cumberbatch walks away with this one, or at least it's again, I haven't seen all the other ones, but based on the trailer, it's between Garfield and Cumberbatch. Will Smith has a chance, but he already won the Golden Globe. I don't see him winning it again. Next, Best Supporting Actress, Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, no idea. Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, she was okay. Judi Dench for Belfast, okay, but she shouldn't really be there. It should be the mom. Like I don't get why Judi Dench got the nod, but the mom didn't get it. All right, whatever. Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog really shouldn't be there, but all right. And Adriana Ellis for King Richard. I'm guessing she plays Venus. Let me just double check that real quick. Oh no, she plays Ornette Orsine Brandy Williams. She plays the mom. So, all right. She did an okay job. Out of all these 5, Ariana, I really liked Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. To be honest, she's a fantastic dancer, great singer. She put a lot of heart into the role. I could see her taking it. Next, Best Supporting Actor: Ciarán Hinds for Belfast, Troy Kotsur for Coda, who's the dad, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, he's the brother, J.K. Simmons for being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith McPhee for The Power of the Dog. The two of The Power of the Dog should not be there, because again, they would be nothing in this movie without Cumberbatch. It would be a massively forgettable movie for Cumberbatch. Their performances are not particularly special or memorable or remarkable. So out of there. Troy Kotsur for Coda. He's the dad from Easy A, except he does sign language. That's it. And J.K. Simmons, I haven't seen the movie. So to me, it's Ciarán Hinds all the way. It should have been between Ciarán Hinds and John Berthal from the trainer from King Richard, but he's not nominated, so it's an easy win for Ciarán Hinds, I think, personally. And then the rest of the stuff, I don't think you really care. Best design, best screenplay, best original score, nah. So there you go. That's it. That's my breakdown of the 2022 Academy Awards. Hopefully that was interesting to you. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully, I made you want to watch at least one of the movies. Like King Richard. Watch King Richard. It's fun. Or Coda. Again, if you have nothing to do on a Sunday, watch Coda. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's not special. It's fine. Honestly, King Richard's special. This one's not. Or watch Dune. But again, watch it with water and with subtitles. You'll need them. I'm out. That's it. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch streaming. This week, I probably won't be streaming at all. I might do something tomorrow really quick just to review my Oscar picks. I don't think I'll have time. I'm going out of town on Tuesday. Monday night, Tuesday midnight, whatever, I guess. And so dawn, I don't know, whatever. So I'm going out of town. I'm going to be out of town for a week, so I probably won't be doing anything this week. I already warned you about it. I'm going out for a bachelor party, Mexico City, so I'm excited for that. I'm not planning on taking my laptop or anything. I already have to take my work laptop, so again, 1 week, maybe tomorrow. Don't get your hopes up. I got a bunch of stuff to get ready. But follow me on Instagram. You'll see a bunch of every single, all my stories from the trip. Check it out there. If you've never seen Mexico City, you can check it out there. At Dario SDW and at Super Dario World. I'll probably just load everything to at Dario SDW. So that's it. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.